All right, Broncos country. It is 12 straight for your Denver Broncos, and the Jaguars are coming to town. And I'm old enough to remember back in 97, I think, maybe 96, when the Jags came to town and put it to us. The last time we played in 2022, we beat the Jags. So we've got 10 one-score games we've won this year. We're on a 11-game win streak. We've won 12 straight at home. The Jags are on, they keep talking about this 5-game win streak they're on. I'm just not trying to knock the Jags or anything because they did beat the Chargers, which we were all very thankful for. But I want to read some names to you a little bit farther down on my notes that I took, and I found this amazing. Here are the last 4 games. Here are the quarterbacks that they faced. Now, Campanelli, the defensive coordinator for the Jags, he's fine. He's kind of from the Flores Fangio tree a little bit. But in the last 4 games, so they're doing really well. They're only giving up 14 points a game. But here's the last 4 games quarterbacks they've faced: Riley Leonard, Jacoby Brissett, Cam Ward, and Brady Cook. I think they're walking into a little bit of a different game. Bo Nix, as we all know, is on a bit of a heater. He's slinging it. Last week against Green Bay, we put up 34 points, 390 yards of offense, 9 yards per pass play, 4 touchdowns from Bo, 4 for 4 in the red zone, by the way. This is a completely different matchup for Liam Cohen and the Jaguars. There's some keys to this game, though. I still think the Broncos are going to have to do they're going to have to show up for this game. This isn't going to be one that they can walk through. I think this is going to be a tough game for them. But let me get into just a couple of things that I think are going to be important for this game. Kind of set this up, and then I'm going to set up the stage for the playoffs, where we're at, what we want to happen, what we need to happen. A couple things about Jags first. Like I said, they're averaging 34 points a game. They're giving up 14 points a game. Liam Cohen is a good offensive coordinator. I mean, there's no way around. He's head coach, but he's, essentially he's the OC for that team. And Trevor Lawrence has been playing well. You got to give it to him. He had 6 touchdowns last week, albeit not against the best competition. A lot of blown coverages. In fact, if you go back and look at that, and you don't need to because I did it for you, he had 6 touchdowns, 5 pass, one rushing. It was a scramble, like a 20-something yard scramble. You could not have played worse coverage than the Jets played on those plays. There was one play, and it was a touchdown that I thought Trevor just threw a dime, and it was a great play. But for the most part, they were like, you could not have played worse defense on those. But yet he's got 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions on the year. Their defense has 18 touchdowns. They're plus 10 in the turnover ratio, which is really good. So they've got some really good numbers. The Broncos, they've only got 12 takeaways. So that's been kind of a theme all year. We're getting all the sacks, and we're making the plays when they count. But we're not really taking the ball away. But here's the bottom line. VJ will make the adjustments. You know what's going to happen at the beginning of the game. The Jags are going to kind of do their thing. ETN's going to get going. He's going to have some big runs. Trevor's going to look like he's in a zone. He's going to go like 7 for 7 or something. And then VJ's going to figure out what they're doing, and the Broncos will put a stop to it. So don't be surprised if the Jags get into the red zone. Now their red zone offense is pretty darn good. Again, just like Green Bay last year, I think the Jags are number 2 in red zone offense, whereas Green Bay was number 1. But here's the thing. The Broncos defense is number 1 in the red zone, and they're number 1 on third down. So this is going to be a much bigger test, for Jacksonville, for Trevor Lawrence and their rookie left tackle up against this pass rush is going to be tough for them. Now, we've got a few issues. Brandon Jones is out. The good news, and it's big, I think, is Pat Bryant's back. Powers is probably back. They're coming back at just the right time. So with Jones out, you got PJ Locke running around out there. It looked great against Green Bay. I don't remember who said this. I think maybe it was Mario who said, if PJ Locke plays anything close to like he played during the Green Bay game, we got it covered. We're fine. Now, I think Liam Cohen will attack. The one weakness on our defense, as you all know, is the linebacking crew. And it's not Greenlaw. We know it's Singleton. But there's a little caveat there that I still remain a little hopeful for. And I don't know where I saw this, but it brought up kind of a thought in my head. Like, if you go back to the beginning of the season, first of all, Dre Greenlaw missed like 6 games to start the season. And then he was suspended a game, so he missed 7 games. So he's missed 7 games. And then Singleton missed a couple games because of his surgery. And, but he's a trooper and he's back. So these 2 guys are just now starting to gel and figure it out. When they make all those calls, they kind of need to be able to read each other's minds, especially when you've got a physically limited linebacker like Singleton. It's important that they play together. They get into that zone where they just kind of know what the other one's thinking. And with Sternad out, they really need to, because nobody's coming to save the day. Nobody's coming to help. With Brandon Jones out, stopping ETN is going to be, huge. I mentioned this before. Cole Van Landen, left tackle for the Jaguars. It's done a nice job, but coming up against Nick Benito, maybe Cooper. Nick Benito's sitting at 12.5 sacks. The Jags gave up 7 sacks to the Rams and the Seahawks. So when they've played real defensive, they're very susceptible to getting sacked. And I think this is where this game is going to be really different for them. I saw the disrespect stuff coming out of Jacksonville. We all did. And, it's not that I don't respect them, and it's not that the Broncos don't respect them. It's just that, you've run off 4 games against, just about the worst quarterbacks and teams in the league. And they're coming up against, this home crowd, which is another key to this game. It's going to have to come in big. And then Zach Allen, who is all pro from last year, should be all pro again this year. He's the only, lineman with 40 plus quarterback hits 2 years in a row, besides like TJ Watt or somebody. And he's got 6.5 sacks. JFM's 5.5 sacks. Roach and DJ Jones are going to be big in this game. Then you get into PS2 and Moss, who both had interceptions. Now they're back off the schneid. And then don't overlook Jaquan McMillan, because I think we're going to be in a lot of nickel this game. The Jags are going to do a lot of 11 personnel, so they're going to be 3 wide. They're going to have a tight end and a running back. They're going to try and spread it around. I'm sure they'll try and play they'll try and pound ETN down our throats first. If that doesn't work, and even if that does work, they'll try and go to the quick game, and try and keep us from letting our pass rush take over the game. But that's kind of playing into our hands. With J-Mac, I think they'll blitz him when they're not expecting it. I expect us to get to the quarterback a lot today. I expect Trevor Lawrence to take a lot of hits, and he's going to want to go deep to Thomas. They've been trying to do that, and it's been working. And then you've got Jacoby Myers over there, who's been in the system long enough now, and he's a great route runner. He's going to be trouble. And then welcome home Tim Patrick. He's going to be back and motivated against his old team. We all love Tim Patrick, but we just don't love him this weekend. So I think they'll feature ETN, and in the run and the pass. He can do it all. It'll be interesting to see for the Denver defense. Now, Brandon Jones out with all that nickel. Does Jahdae Barron get more play time? And if so, how do they use him? Do they pull lockout, or do they, what are they going to do there? It'll be interesting. I'd like to see Jahdae Barron come up with another big play or a big pick. So on offense, For Sean and Bo, I got some notes here from the Green Bay game. Bo had 5 big time throws. Third down, Sutton was clutch. The protection again was excellent. It's going to be. It shouldn't be that big of a test for the O line today. Honestly, the Jags only have like 18 sacks on the year, and the Broncos, or 28 sacks on the year, and the Broncos have 58 or something crazy like that. So I think we get after Lawrence. I don't think they're able to get to Bo. He might take a sack, probably a smart sack, as I call them, better than throwing an interception. That's another key. If we protect the ball, the Jags are very good at getting turnovers. They're 10 plus on the year. I think they've got 18 interceptions on the year. So they do create some havoc on defense. So Sean and Bo will have to play smart, play field position, and then if they can get RJ Harvey going, who again I love, and I still am an RJ guy, but he's only averaging like 3.5 yards carry for that Green Bay game. We need about 4 yards of carry from him in this game, I think, so that we can loosen up that passing game a little bit. But here's the good news. I said there was good news. I think Pat Bryant coming back. Now, no, I'm not knocking Bandy. I'm not knocking little Jordan Humphrey. They both scored touchdowns last week. And again, by the way, all you Green Bay fans, and you know I love Green Bay. They're my NFC team, whatever. But it's like Broncos here, and then like you can't even see where Green Bay is, but they would be my next favorite team. All the complaining about how they had 5 players out or over. I mean, you've got the Broncos with their backup running back. They're a backup guard. 2 of the passes that were caught for touchdowns were from practice squad players from the week before. Let's not pretend like we were at full strength. We lost Brandon Jones too. So miss me on, injuries in a game and putting an asterisk. The Broncos beat the Green Bay fair and square. We had about the same amount of injuries, and all the best to Micah Parsons. But that game was, he wasn't dominating that game, 1, and 2, I don't think it changed. We'll never know if it changed the outcome or not. But the Broncos are fairly healthy, even though we've taken some big hits, though. Predictions for the game, guys. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna check on my. Sorry, guys. Son of Jacob. Our weaknesses is the linebackers covering anyone. I think they'll attack our linebackers like no tomorrow. Yeah, for sure he will. Liam Cohen's no dummy. That is the weakness of our defense. But like I said, I think they've gotten better. We've had teams do the quick passing thing. And initially, I forget which team it was, but there was a lot of success. And of course, there's going to be their tight end's going to be open. He's going to run a seam route, and Singleton's going to get burned by ETN out of the backfield. We know all those things are going to happen. So that's what I mean. Like between the 20s, Jacob, or son of Jacob, you're going to see a lot of that. But when it gets in the red zone, that's where VJ really shines. We hold them to field goals. We score touchdowns, and then we tee off late in the 3rd and 4th quarters with our defense. And I think that's how it's going to play out here. We know our weaknesses. VJ knows our weaknesses, and he kind of works around them. But yeah, if you got a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence and a coach like Liam Cohen, they're gonna burn us a couple times. So we need a few big runs in important moments, more so than a higher average. Yeah, and that's kind of what RJ's been doing, which is why I'm still on. I'm still on with him because, and I was telling Colin Cronin yesterday on the show. It's not that RJ's averaging a ton of yards. It's not that he's consistent, because he's getting tackled in the backfield quite a bit. He's got a lot of negative yards, getting tackled at the line of scrimmage. That's a little bit of vision and a little bit of the offensive line. So as good as our offensive line is in pass protection, and they're the number one pass protecting team in the league. I don't see our run game as all on the running back. I do think there's some O-line issues. I think there's some assignment issues. I don't think the wide receivers are blocking very well. And we all know this stuff. But you're right. One thing RJ does have is, even with all those negative yards, he does get big gains. He's liable to break one, and he's deadly in the red zone. I mean, he's got more touchdowns than we've seen from a rookie in a long, long time. My guy, Jay Weaver, I sure hope PJ Locke doesn't get exposed. Well, and I talked about that right at the beginning of the game, Jay. And everybody get out there and follow Dreamweaver on Twitter, Orange and Blue Network, right? Just amazing dude, amazing shows. Jay knows his ball. I thought he played really well against Green Bay. Now, and that's against Love, Jordan Love coming in with his weapons. It's not like he didn't have anybody. Now, they lost the one receiver on the PS2 amazing interception, but PJ Locke is not a, I do remember last year, and I know exactly the few plays you're talking about. I don't see that happening. I think that, the Broncos learn lessons. VJ learns lessons, sometimes a little bit later than we'd like to see. But yeah, that's who we've got, right? Who else are you going to put back there? So we're going to go with him. I'm going to get the last few things out, and then I'll get you guys out of here. But I'm going to set you up. So it's 11:30. We're good. It's 10:30. So we're good. Games haven't started yet. Here's what's up against us, right? This is why I say we need this one, right? The Broncos got the Jags today at home. Now they go this game in December at Arrowhead, or whatever they call that place now, looms large only because it's Arrowhead and it's the Chiefs. Now, obviously, with Mahomes out, it takes on a little bit of a different, not importance, but it looks a little more winnable than maybe before. I had that counted as a loss. Even though I had us winning the first seed, I still had that game as a loss. But now, I don't know. We're certainly good enough to win that game. And if the weather is, anything like it is now, yeah, we could win that game. And then this Jags game actually is one of the least important games because the other two are in our division. So, but the Chiefs and the Chargers. So got to keep our eye on the Chargers. They play Dallas today. If you see over here, I guess I should move my pointer up there. Not that you guys can't see that, but I got this thing blown up pretty big. But here's your Chargers. They're 10-4, 2 games back, maybe even 2.5 games back. I don't remember how those tiebreakers all work. But at Dallas today, I actually have the Cowboys winning this game. Then they've got the Texans, which is the Texans are in a fight with the Jaguars. Somewhat the Colts. I think the Colts, obviously, we know we're going to fade out. But the Jags have a tough, or the Chargers have a tough road. I can see them losing to Dallas. You never know who's going to show up, but man, you just look at the numbers for the Cowboys. Dak's on fire. The running game's on fire. Like, if they had any defense at all, they'd be something else. But you never know. Sometimes that team shows up, and I'm still predicting at home the Cowboys will take care of business. If not, I think the Texans and both the Broncos and the Texans will beat them. I don't know if we'll be resting our starters. I hope we are in that last week. My buddy David would disagree, from David Talks Broncos, and say he wants to have everybody out there and whip the Chargers. But, I'd rather keep everybody healthy. Patriots are back in action. They are still in play for the number 1 seed. We can get into some clinching stuff here if time permits. But they got the Ravens, who are like dysfunctional, and you never know who you're going to get with them either. Kind of like the Cowboys. You could definitely see the Patriots drop that game if the Ravens that we want to see show up. But then it's the Jets and the Dolphins. So those two teams are a complete mess. Which is, again, why I think we need this game. It's more to fend off the Patriots than it is worrying about the AFC West. We've already got our playoff spot. We're going to get the AFC West. Here comes the Bills. I think the Bills, at the end of the day, end up taking this spot here. They've got Cleveland, and then they got the Eagles at home and the Jets at home. They could win all three of these games. I know that Eagles game will be tough. The Eagles are quietly like this. They're still hanging around first place in the NFC East. But they're kind of quiet, right? Because they're only 9-5 or something. And then of course the Texans 9-5. They've got the Raiders, Chargers, and Colts, and they could win out and end up 12-5. So that AFC South is one to keep an eye on. And I guess one reason why I'm talking so much about the AFC South, one is we're playing the Jaguars. They're going to be very motivated. They know exactly, what we're sitting here talking about as Broncos fans, how big these last three games are for them. They've got a pretty clear path now that the Colts have Rivers playing, which, by the way, is one of the coolest stories you're ever going to see. A 44-year-old quarterback coming out and starting in the NFL. They're going to make a movie about this. He's coaching a high school football team, and now he's playing quarterback after 5 years for a playoff hopeful Indianapolis Colts team. Now, I've got some, I'll leave this up while I talk about this, but I do want to, so here are your clinching scenarios. Okay, so these teams will all be involved in this, should be. The Broncos obviously have clinched a playoff berth at 12-2. Denver clinched, I'll just read this stuff and make it easier instead of trying to read it and then reform it or whatever. But Denver clinches the AFC West division title and the AFC's number 1 seed, first round bye, home field advantage. Okay, that's with Denver wins, okay, against the Jags. The Chargers lose at Dallas. New England loses at the Ravens. And Buffalo loses at Cleveland. All right, so that's probably not going to happen. But you know who to root for there. So we could even lock up the first seed today. Very long shot, but it's there. Now, we will win the AFC West division title if we win today and the Chargers lose. That's it. Now, I don't know if I'm hoping the Chargers lose or predicting the Chargers lose, but kind of both. I tend to make my picks with my heart. So even though I'm sure the Chargers are favored in that game, go Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Whatever you got to say, put a star on your door. I don't care. This is the one time you can root for the Cowboys if you're not a Cowboys fan. We got to have that. T. Fisher says, such a great graphic. Honestly, I stole that from somebody, and I wish I knew who it was. It's probably written down there really small. I just saw it online, but thanks for pointing it out. I always try to give people credit. I think if you look really close, I'll try and figure out who that is and give them a shout out. But I did not make that. That'd be a Zach Seegers thing. He makes all our graphics. He's not here until the post-game show tonight after the game. Let's talk Broncos. David talks Broncos, and the Mile High Monster will all be right here after the game tonight. Zach's at the game. So we'll probably go, half hour late, but it's going to be great as always. Fastest growing post-game show in the country. Buffalo Bills. Buffalo wins. Indianapolis loss. They clinch a playoff berth. And if they're Browns, that's probably going to happen. The Patriots 11-3. They're at Baltimore. So they clinch a playoff berth just by winning. So they just have to win and they're in, which good chance. I would say 60-40 chance on that game, even though I'm picking the Ravens. But you know why I'm picking the Ravens. I already told you that because I'm a super fan. I'm crazy like that. By the way, T. Fishes, Jay, you guys, son of Jacob. I've seen you before, son of Jacob. These other guys, thanks for always coming in. I really do appreciate that. What was on the Jags? Okay, so the Jaguars, they're at Denver today, as you know. They clinch a playoff berth with a win today, which they won't get, and an Indianapolis loss. So, yeah, sorry, Jacksonville. You are going to have to wait another week to secure your playoff berth. And then the Chargers, can get in the playoffs with a win, which you're not going to get because the Dallas is going to beat you, and Indianapolis lost, which you will probably get. Now, obviously, I'm kind of joking. The Chargers will probably win, and Indy will probably lose today. That's just the way it is, but we'll see. These Texans cannot clinch anything yet, which is crazy, right? They're 9-5. They're right there, but it's just the way it's kind of set up. I would not be surprised if the Texans end up being right in the thick of things with us and all these other playoff teams by the end of the season. But for now, they're outside looking in. T. Fish says, what are you most worried about with this Jags game? For me, it's T-Law's ability to get the ball out quickly. Yeah, I talked about that a little bit before. T. Fish's, shout out to you. I would say Liam Cohen's going to want to play that game. He's going to want to, negate the pass rush. But we've seen you can negate, Cooper and Benito. You can do that. You can design your way around that. But now you're dealing with Roach, JFM, DJ Jones, and of course Zach Allen up the middle. If they can get that push up the middle and get in Trevor Lawrence's face, and I know that Trevor Lawrence is one of those tall quarterbacks. He's like 6'6" or something. Once he starts getting hit, that quick game is going to be very important. I'm more worried about the red zone. So I think they're going to be able to do that. I think ETN will have his opportunities early to get some yardage. And I think that quick game will, they'll run mesh routes and they'll run quick slant and, they'll get quick releases, some screens or whatever. By the way, ETN's really good at catching those too. That does worry me. But at the end of the day, again, the VJ's going to kind of let them go between the 20s for a while. He doesn't want them to throw a 50-yard touchdown pass and then just start rolling. They're going to be able to get first downs. They're going to do good in the first half. They're going to do all those things that kind of everybody does with us. It's just a trend. And then we'll hold them up in the red zone. But then halftime, he'll change things up and he'll take whatever's working away from them, and then they'll have to find something else. So I am worried about that, but that won't get them points. I'm worried about Jacoby Myers in the red zone, Thomas in the red zone, ETN in the red zone. I'm worried about them scoring touchdowns instead of field goals. I think this game's going to – I know that the Jags are supposed to have a really good defense, averaging 14 points a game over this stretch. But again, I went over the list. I only know Jacoby Brissett and Cam Ward. I don't even know who those other two guys are, really. They really haven't faced any sort of offensive threat. And I think the Broncos are going to be an offensive threat. I think the Broncos are going to put up, they're getting like 24 points a game in this little stretch. And it's just getting better. I think we had 31 against Green Bay. I think we see that again. I think we see another 31-point game from Bo Nix and Sean Payton's offense. I think the sacks are going to come. I think we're going to see another turnover or two. Hell, it might even be Tillman again. You never know, because I think he's still tied for the lead in interceptions for the Broncos. But PS2, Riley Moss and Jaquan going to have to come up big. I'm not. I in no way am I saying this is going to be an easy game, but I think it's going to be maybe a 21-31 type game. Broncos win 21-31. If you agree with that, great. If you don't, great. Put it in the comments. Comments after the show would be great, or during the show are always welcome in the chat. If you're watching for the first time, would love it if you'd hit subscribe or like. I really appreciate everybody watching. It's a big week, a crazy week. I hope that doesn't keep going. I don't want a crazy day with the Broncos. That game last night was kind of heartbreaking. The Green Bay Bears game, I mean, it was crazy. Green Bay had that game finished. Bears get the announced onside kick. It's not even a surprise one. And then I don't know the wide receiver's name. He muffs the catch. He could have just let it go out of bounds or whatever. And then sure enough, Caleb goes off and throws a dime, and they win the game in overtime. It's kind of a heartbreaker for some of my friends and family, and for me in some ways. So don't want to see anything like that. And that crazy game Thursday night with the Rams and the Seahawks. Oh my gosh. Uh, If I was a fan of one of those teams, my heart would have probably exploded. So uh, let's see that. Yep. 31-24. I'm 31-21. Uh, let's hope it's something like that. 31-21 would be nice because then we wouldn't have that one score game thing. But guys, we've won 6 one-score games this year. That's kind of our bag. We do that. Not too worried about the score, right? Just the wins. Broncos are 12-2. On the cusp of already in the playoffs, on the cusp of winning the West. We're gonna win the West, guys. Let's be honest. But we want that number 1 seed. Beating the Jaguars today would go a long ways towards that. So shout out to everybody in the stream for coming in. Maybe I'll start doing these every week. I usually do a pregame on Saturday, but today had a little bit of time and I wanted to come out and kind of set the weekend up with how the playoffs and the clinching works and making sure that we all have our eyes set on the prize here with these other teams. You're going to want to keep your eye on these games. Obviously, the Jaguars and Broncos game. That's why we're all here. But there's other games that we need to watch. We will see you guys tonight after the game. I think if you just check, I'll see what Zach at Let's Talk Broncos is going to do, but we'll put out the time of the stream and everything as soon as I get it. He wanted to be at this game. I'm glad he's there. We usually go live right after the game. This time it'll be a little bit later, but I'll give you time to, calm down from the big win. Let's hope. Pour yourself whatever, and and then sit down and watch us go off a little bit. Go Broncos. K-Dub, thank you, sir. And honestly, hope to see you tonight on the stream. We will talk to you guys real soon. Appreciate you just putting up with me, a little unscripted show. Why not, right? I'm too excited to just sit there and wait for the games to start. So I figured I might as well come out and talk some Broncos with you. As always, go Broncos. Please like and subscribe if you can. We're almost at 1,600 subscribers already. I was trying to get to 1,500 this year. It's crazy. I love it. I think I got 20 to go. 1,600. That's going to happen. I'll see you guys tonight. Until then, though, go Broncos. Down with the Jags. Down with the Chargers. Down with the Bills. Down with the Pats. In fact, down with everybody on the screen except the Broncos. All right. That'll do it.